Have you ever wondered what happens behind the closed doors of royal palaces, where official chronicles remain silent and the truth is replaced by carefully edited press releases? At first glance, it was just a short visit by Prince Harry to Britain. 4 days? Seemingly a trifle. But these 96 hours turned into a real explosion that reverberated around the world, and this explosion shook not only the media, but also the very foundations of the monarchy. His PR team, according to reliable insiders, worked tirelessly on the so-called rehabilitation of the prince's image. They diligently tried to present him as a repentant son and brother, sincerely desiring reconciliation with his family after all past conflicts. This campaign included carefully planned public appearances where Harry demonstrated his fun side, joking with children, participating in charity events, and even fencing with balloons, reminiscent of the old Harry that all of Britain once adored. However, all these efforts collapsed like a house of cards due to a series of new scandals that, according to experts, Harry provoked either himself or through his intermediaries and team. As commentators like Tash from Outspoken note, the people who worked on Harry's rehabilitation in these 4 days are probably slumped under their desks with bottles of wine now because he blew it all up again. This is not just a metaphor, it's a reality. Harry and his entourage continue to leak confidential information to the press, repeating the same tactics that were used previously with the book Finding Freedom by author Omid Scobie. Back then, Harry's staff members anonymously communicated with journalists, revealing intimate details of family life, and now we see an exact repetition of this scheme, only with new accents and even greater consequences. One of the central and most discussed moments of this visit is Harry's personal meeting with his father, King Charles III. This was the first face-to-face meeting in almost 2 years of complete estrangement, and it instantly became a sensation in the world's media. Sources in the American tabloid US Weekly, which has long been known for its close ties with Harry and Meghan Markle, described this meeting as very emotional and touching. According to exclusive details that appeared in the press, Harry wrote his father a handwritten letter earlier this year in which he expressed a sincere desire for reconnection. The meeting was organized at the very last moment, just a week before the event, and took place in Charles's private residence, which was specially chosen for its intimate and less formal atmosphere compared to the majestic Buckingham Palace. There were hugs and tears, quotes an anonymous source in US Weekly. Harry even cried when he saw his father. They discussed Harry's children, Archie and Lilibet, as well as the current state of the king's health, who is battling cancer. The atmosphere, according to insiders, was positive, with elements of sincere laughter and warmth, despite the long separation and accumulated grievances. However, this meeting became not just a moment of family reconciliation, but part of a large PR campaign, which, according to critics, was planned in advance. But many critics and analysts see these leaks as pure manipulation of public opinion. "This is pure leaking of information from Harry's camp," claims the host Dan. King Charles III would never share such intimate details with the press. It's not in the style of the palace. Indeed, US Weekly has already published a second article with exclusive details since the prince's return to California, and this raises serious questions. One of them details the tears and hugs, which, according to experts, is intended specifically to soften public opinion and create an image of emotional reconciliation. Why is Harry breaking his own promise not to talk about the meeting publicly? Analysts offer several versions. Either he himself cannot refrain from blabbing due to his impulsiveness, or it is a well-thought-out work of Meghan Markle or their professional PR team, which specializes in such leaks. Tash adds, "This is complete madness. They reveal details about how Harry cried in his father's arms. It's invasive, inappropriate, and just insane." Moreover, the leaks do not stop. Another article in US Weekly states that the meeting was super positive and relaxed, with conversations about grandchildren and Charles's health. The source emphasizes, "They hugged for a long time, and it was very emotional for both of them. They really missed each other." Such details, according to commentators, could only have come from Harry's team, as the royal palace is known for its strict restraint and unwillingness to share personal matters. This raises serious questions about trust within the family. Harry gave his father his word not to talk about the meeting, but in just 72 hours, all the details surfaced in the press, which only increased the tension. The events of recent days vividly illustrate the striking and almost dramatic contrast between the two branches of the royal family, which has become one of the main topics of discussion in the media. On the one hand, Prince William and Princess Catherine, whom Harry and Meghan stubbornly call simply Kate, which many perceive as a deliberate attempt to diminish her official status as Princess of Wales. This couple is completely focused on their state duty to the country, the Commonwealth of Nations, and the people. Their public appearances are not just a show for the cameras, but real work for the benefit of society. Visits to hospitals, support for charitable initiatives, meetings with veterans, and a focus on important social problems. They put duty above everything else, notes the host Dan in his podcast. It's about the country, the Commonwealth, and the people, not about personal gain or money. On the other hand, Harry and Meghan, whom critics unequivocally call fake royals. They are accused of a desperate and cynical pursuit of money because, according to analysts, they are on the bones of their ass, that is, financially broke and forced to seize any opportunities. They are ready to take coin from large corporations for dubious stunts that only disgrace the royal family, experts emphasize in their comments. A bright and fresh example of such behavior is the recent Disney stunt. The couple appeared in a new Disney documentary where they casually discussed their favorite attractions in the amusement park. Meghan Markle noted that Harry's favorite attraction is Space Mountain, adding a joke with a subtext, "This is the attraction where I hardest practiced my Diana cosplay in front of the mirror." This is a direct reference to the famous photographs of Princess Diana, Harry's mother, taken at Disneyland, but commentators call this moment trashy and tacky, cheap, tasteless, and simply vulgar trick that is not worthy of royal status. According to Tash, this trip to Disneyland with children was far from accidental and not just a family vacation. We now see why they took their children with them. This is part of a big freebie, a big advert. Who is better suited for such advertising than their own little prince and princess? This is especially cynical and causes outrage against the background of constant accusations of using children as weapons in family feuds and manipulations. Meghan and Harry have repeatedly been accused of emotionally manipulating public opinion. Recall the famous interview with Oprah Winfrey, where Meghan mentioned the allegedly racist remarks of family members about the skin color of the future child, trying to evoke sympathy and pity. They use children from the very beginning to manipulate public, says Tash in the podcast. It's twisted, and very twisted. From the moment of pregnancy to today, all this is used for emotional pressure on the king and other family members. Analysts note that such actions are not just entertainment or family leisure, but a carefully thought-out commercial strategy. Harry and Meghan, deprived of official royal roles after their departure from Britain, now monetize their status through corporate deals and partnerships, which, according to Dan, continues to disgrace the royal family in the eyes of the world. While William and Catherine focus on long-term legacy and service, the couple from Montecito seems completely intent on making money, even if it means selling their soul in advertising infomercials and dubious projects. Another explosive element in this saga is Prince Harry's recent interview in the prestigious publication The Guardian, which became a real bomb for the royal family. In it, Harry openly admitted that he deliberately ignored the direct advice of the British government and still met with Vladimir Zelensky. In the original transcript, Vladimir Zelensky is mentioned, which is probably a typo or a transcription error for Zelensky, despite the explicit ban from official authorities. The government expressly said not to meet, but he still went and even posed for photos, comments Dan in his show. This clearly shows that he is a traitor, and his behavior is treacherous. Harry also confirmed in the interview that he fully stands behind all his statements in the scandalous memoir Spare, including sharp criticism of the late Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Princess Catherine. He even hinted at his father's health condition. Next year will be all about my dad, which many interpret as a hint of a possible deterioration in the king's condition due to his battle with cancer. This statement was made just 72 hours after a personal meeting with Charles, despite the prince's explicit promise not to talk about it publicly. He completely blew it, says Tash. This is doubled down on all the previous insults and accusations. Mainstream media in the UK, according to analysts, are trying to actively cover up this scandal and minimize its consequences. There is a major cover-up, claims Dan. They ignore the landmines in this interview, focusing instead on the image of fun Harry. The prince is presented in the press as an official representative of the Invictus Games, but headlines in Ukrainian media often state that he represents the UK, which is misleading and creates a false impression. A similar incident occurred earlier in Canada, where Harry arbitrarily interfered in the affairs of Indigenous peoples, First Nations, promising open conversations, an area that should be the prerogative of the king and the government. He is toxic on a global level, emphasizes Tash. These are not only family issues, but also potential problems on a global stage. Experts unanimously see Harry as a diplomatic liability. He continues to use his titles, such as Duke of Sussex, to appear to be part of the monarchy, but in reality represents only his personal interests. He pretends to be important, but it's dangerous, add commentators, emphasizing that such actions can cause serious international incidents. Prince William, according to the general opinion of experts and commentators, found himself in the most difficult and vulnerable position in this whole story. He has repeatedly warned his family, the media, and the British establishment about Harry's toxicity and unpredictability, but his words were constantly ignored. Recently, at the funeral of the Duchess of Kent, William was forced to stand next to Prince Andrew, trying to look jovial, but his clenched jaw clearly betrayed internal anger. He's stuck there, tolerating Andrew because he's still part of the family, says Dan. But with Harry it's different. William is ropeable, and rightly so. King Charles III, ignoring William's direct advice, still met with Harry, which many perceive as an olive branch of reconciliation. However, the subsequent leaks completely destroyed any trust. Charles gave him a chance, but Harry blew it, notes Tash. Now there is serious tension between father and son. Some analysts suggest that this meeting was calculated. Charles was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. After Harry's interview on the BBC in May, where he said his father ignores him, pressure on the king grew. He met to shut down the narrative of a cruel king. William now faces an agonizing choice: reconcile with his brother and risk humiliation, or hold a firm line, risking a cold war for decades to come. He warned everyone, and he's still ignoring, emphasizes Dan. Harry proved he's a liability. This tension is exacerbated by rumors that the king may be under the influence of his illness, striving for reconciliation before the end of his reign. American tabloids US Weekly and People magazine are waging a real war for exclusives from Harry and Meghan. The editor of US Weekly, Dan Wakeford, has direct relationships with the couple through his past work at People. Their articles detail the ongoing tension with William and Catherine. They are deeply hurt by disclosures, memoir revelations, and criticisms perceived as breaches of trust. A source adds, "No direct communication between aides, like with Charles. William and Kate haven't initiated outreach. There's emotional distance and lingering resentments from Harry's comments about Kate in his book." Sources, obviously from the Montecito camp, express hope for a meeting of the brothers on the upcoming holidays. Once William and Kate can trust again, they may come back into his life. But analysts call this an extraordinary level of delusion. They're delusional, says Tash. They demand trust, but leak like a tap. Mainstream media in the UK are accused of a total 180 in support of Harry, ignoring his missteps. They gaslight the public, representing Harry as uplifting, notes Tash, but it's own goal after own goal. Journalist Tom Sykes, in his article for the Daily Beast, describes Harry's recent tour of the UK as barnstorming. Harry zipped around the country, laughing with school children, sword-fighting with balloons, high-fiving young people, flashing glimpses of the old Harry Britain adored. In contrast to the buttoned-up image of William and Catherine, this looked as particularly advantageously. Their rushed diary fillers, heritage sites, textile factories, only made Harry shine brighter. Sykes believes that the true tension is between Charles and William. William's attempts to freeze Harry out were about ensuring he couldn't use royal fairy dust to work back in and steal attention. Now the concerns are justified. The meeting with the king is a seismic shift. For Charles, frail due to illness, reconciliation makes sense. He doesn't want to end his reign estranged from his son and grandchildren. Rumors that Archie and Lily may be attending school in Britain show how the ground has moved. For William, this is catastrophic. It's a zero-sum game. Harry's gain is his loss. By embracing Harry, Charles leaves the heir exposed. William is split from the king and faces a choice: Swallow pride and reconcile, risking a half-in-half-out status, or hold the line, sustaining 50 years of Cold War. Knives are out for him as never before, concludes Sykes. However, Tash doesn't entirely agree with this analysis. Knives out in the media, but I don't believe Charles chooses Harry over William. He meant to shut down the narrative. Harry is toxic and dangerous to the monarchy. He attacked Camilla, a line Charles drew in the sand. The public wouldn't want Harry back, like Andrew. This opinion emphasizes that the meeting was more of a tactical move than a genuine reconciliation, and that the king is aware of the risks. All these events clearly show how Harry and Meghan continue to use the royal family for their own PR and financial gain. From promotions with Disney to leaks about tears and hugs, it all looks like a desperate attempt to stay relevant in the eyes of the world. King Charles III may have given his son a chance due to his serious illness, seeking not to go down in history as an estranged father, but Harry missed this chance, confirming his status as a toxic member of the family. Prince William remains the main guardian of the monarchy, but the pressure on him is growing from the media, the public, and even within the family. Open questions remain. Will Harry ever be allowed back into the family circle, or will the drawbridge be raised forever? Will they continue to use their grandchildren as weapons for emotional pressure?